Within seconds of saving this chained wild horse, a man gets the most amazing thank you. Today, we bring you a story of a beautiful horse who didn't forget who helped him in difficult times and repaid thanks in the most beautiful way. The majority of people absolutely admire horses since they are elegant and majestic creatures. Yet, unfortunately, it happens frequently for them in some regions of the world to fall victim to human-set traps. One such horse was found by a guy who released it and was thanked in the most exquisite way possible. In Romania, it's common practice to restrain horses using traps that ensnare their legs. It keeps them from escaping or getting lost. These traps are fastened to the ground by a chain and securely clamped around their legs. The chains used are exceedingly thick. Horses are robust, powerful animals. Therefore, the chances of one of them escaping once it's been captured are incredibly minimal. The horses are in great discomfort when caught in traps, and occasionally they can permanently impair their ability to walk or even move. Still, it's a method of keeping tabs on these beautiful animals and appears to be a common practice that's governed by the local authorities. Fortunately, a guardian angel was present for one trapped horse. An American tourist was leisurely strolling across the countryside in the Balkan nation. He cherished exploring all of Romania's attractions and savored the tranquility of such stunning locations. As the man walked through the meadow, horses could be heard galloping out in the distance. Although he was unable to see them, he was nonetheless exhilarated. He was familiar with the legends of wild horses galloping gracefully through the Romanian hills and farms. As he kept moving in the direction of the commotion, he discovered in the distance something was lying on the ground, nearly hidden by the long meadow grass. Uncertain of whether or not what was lying there was dangerous, he cautiously approached it. His eyes widened in disbelief as he drew closer, and he exhaled. He couldn't believe that the magnificent wild horse he was observing on the ground was actually there. It had a magnificent dark brown coat and a mane of hair that was scruffy and flowed down the back of his neck and along the length of his spine that was black. It was also enormous, much larger than the man had anticipated. However, there was a problem. The horse had a troubled expression on its face and was breathing rapidly. As the man drew near, the horse slightly flailed its leg, and a clear clinking sound could be heard. This was not the image he had in mind when he imagined seeing wild horses roaming free in the countryside. He was completely wrong in thinking that this would be the case. Needless to say, it was a disturbing sight. The man observed that the horse's leg had a chain trap wrapped around it when he peered down at the animal. The chains appeared excruciatingly uncomfortable and were so tight that they prevented the poor animal from moving. Fortunately, the man understood he had to treat the sick horse at all costs, since he was a skilled veterinarian and a fervent admirer of the natural world of animals. The man began severing the ropes that were encircling the poor horse's legs by pulling out his pocket knife. He could tell that the horse had been there for days because of how frail he was. Fortunately, the horse must have recognized that the man was attempting to assist, since it didn't kick or flinch when he cautiously attempted to cut away or loosen the chains. The man remembered his veterinary school days and how to properly care for horses as he reflected on his past education. One idea that came to him was that horses may be given a couple of paracetamol tablets to help relieve discomfort in the same manner that paracetamol helps with human aches and pains. The man took out 2 tablets from his pockets, put them in an apple from his bag, and gave the apple to the horse, who eagerly ate it. The man found himself wondering how people could be so insensitive to poor horses as the horse gulped down the apple. It was incomprehensible to see one of these wild animals so weakened by human activity. These animals deserved to be treated with love and respect. The horse was now stuck, even though it had committed no wrongdoing. In fact, there was a good likelihood that the horse would have passed away where it was lying if the guy hadn't arrived at the correct time. He pondered how many other horses had experienced a similar fate throughout Romania and other regions of the world. The man gazed at the unfortunate animal in front of him, and it was undoubtedly a sad thing that weighed on his heart. In the hopes that the horse would soon experience the painkiller's effects, he was adamant about saving the animal at any cost. The muscular creature merely rested there and allowed the man to continue working while he unfastened the painful-looking chains. The man appeared satisfied that his work was progressing as he released one of the chains, but then he saw something that genuinely stunned him. As you can see, the horse's other leg's chain has been on it for so long that it had sunk into the horse's flesh. It would have been excruciatingly unpleasant to walk in this condition. Even though the guy was aware of what needed to be done, he was concerned about the horse's reaction. One by one, he began to remove the chains. The horse was clearly in anguish since it began making noise and slightly flailing its body. But gradually, it calmed down and stopped moving long enough for the man to resume his work. The man had to go around each of the rear hooves, gently removing the chains as he went. This took him more than 90 minutes. Despite the fact that the horse was still plainly in agony, hopefully it realized that the man was only attempting to assist. Additionally, it's possible that the paracetamol had begun to lessen the intensity of the excruciating pain. The animal must have felt a little better. Thankfully, the moment arrived when everything became evident that there were no more chains or barbs around the horse's legs or hooves. It was totally free. The man attempted to clean the wounds as much as possible by rinsing them with many bottles of water. They were unpleasant, but the trained sight of the man did not perceive them to be diseased. Horses are tough animals, so maybe the wounds will heal completely despite this. The horse seemed peaceful and at ease as it exhaled a sigh of relief. The man stood back and watched the horse carefully stand up after finally freeing himself from the unsavory shackles that held him bound. He carefully monitored the wounds and was relieved that no permanent harm would result from them. The horse now appeared to be in very little discomfort as well, but what the animal did next left the man's mouth gaping open in disbelief and brought tears to his eyes. Despite their reputation for being volatile and occasionally violent, horses tend to be quite kind to people. The horse bent down to the vet and nuzzled his face against his as if to say, "Thanks for helping me." The horse took several steps backward before the man stroked its head and laughed. The horse then reared up on its hind legs and yelled a loud and resounding whinny. With a satisfying thud, the horse returned to the ground as its mane whirled and swirled in the wind. The man was so overtaken with emotion that he suddenly lost all sense of reality. He couldn't believe he was seeing such an amazing sight. The wild horse gave the man one last slight nod of his head as if to express gratitude for his assistance as he stared him in the eye. The horse then made a U-turn and started to cross the meadow on foot. Before starting to trot and eventually breaking into a gallop, he went in search of the remainder of his herd. The man turned and went away while wiping his tears from his eyes, reflecting on himself that this would undoubtedly be an experience he could never forget. With that being said, we come to the end of our story. What would you do if you found an animal in such a condition? Let us know your thoughts about this story in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. For more amazing stories like this one, subscribe to our channel and press that bell icon to stay tuned. And with that, we'll see you next time.